All right. Good evening, everybody. So today is the last Sunday of 2020. We've been together for 34 weeks. Each week comes with its own surprises. It comes with this whole sense of wonder, like I always say. Uh, Also, it comes with a lot of excitement. And like every time life throws out a surprise, it threw out this little young Abhijna today, and I decided to invite her for our show. So I was doing a backdrop, and she helped me to put it up. But before I introduce her, as usual, we are going to start with our little story because we can't break our pattern, right? But today, I'm going to start with Pan's mama. So the mama takes Pan. Where is Pan? Out. All right. And they go to the phonic land. What Pan sees is all sorts of letters dancing all around, all of them making sounds. He also sees some upper and lowercase letters, and they seem to have the same sound. So Pan, where is Pan? Pan looks at Mama and says, "What is all this?" Just then comes a monkey, and the monkey comes with the baby. So where is the baby monkey? So we take out these and we only bring the baby monkey. And the mama monkey said, do you remember what it says? Chitter chatter, E-A-O. And what did the baby say?
Chitter chatter, E-A-O.
Oh my God, they sound the same. Then came the duck and the duckling. Now the duck said quack, 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 quack. And what did the duckling say?
Quack, 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 quack.
This sounded quite the same. All right. Then came the mouse. This one is yours. The mummy mouse and said, squeak, 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 squeak. What did the baby say?
Squeak, 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 squeak.
And this sounded quite the same. Then came the dog and said, bow, 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 bow. And what did the puppy say?
Bow, 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 bow.
And it sounded quite the same. So Pan looked at his mama and said, oh my God, the mamas and babies sound the same. So mama told him that, do you know, Pan, that is why all the letters in the phonic land, the mamas and babies have almost the same. They sound the same and they have the same names. So that is how Pan started learning, and then now he listens to all the sounds in the words. So listening is so important. So I'm going to, so Abhijna, are you good with phonics? Have you
Yes.
studied phonics?
Yes.
Or have you just enjoyed phonics?
I've enjoyed them.
You have enjoyed phonics. And I have to tell you that she is a percussion artist who plays with her mother on stage, who's a Sufi singer. And she actually plays percussion for a couple of hours on the show. So what beautiful, hearing of the child. So can you get us our percussion instruments? Where is the tambourine and where is do you know where we've kept the tambourine?
Yeah.
Ah, very nice. So what we are going to do is we are going to do a pattern. You know, when you do phonics, it's so important to do the skills, to do a process much before the readiness process before you start teaching children phonics. I think that's one thing that I see missing or not done at an level which is required, right? So a very small example of the auditory patterns memory, all right? So I'm going to play a pattern and you have to play it on the bells and the stuff, all right? remembering sounds and patterns is such an important thing. Something so small, but how often do we do this with children? And imagine this little one actually plays a percussion instrument for a whole show. So I thought I must invite her and ask her a few questions. So when you do understand phonics, do you enjoy reading?
Yes.
And can you tell us into the camera a little loudly, what are the kind of books you read and how comfortably do you read them?
Well, I read Harry Potter and I had a bit of trouble reading the word Hermione because it is a very confusing spelling.
All right.
Then I read Nancy Drew and I read Roald Dahl and Ruskin Bond and Michael Morpurgo.
My God, look at that. And tell me, for how many years? I remember seeing you. When did you read your first Harry Potter?
First Harry Potter at the end of my second year.
You were in class second.
Yes.
So that was you were about 6, 7 years old?
7.
7. And you were able to read a Harry Potter?
Yes.
Do you think phonics helped you?
Yes.
It did?
Yes.
Okay. And in your class, and when your teacher asks you to spell words, do you think because you understand phonics and you understand the sounds and symbols better than the other children, you spell and read with more ease?
Yes.
Yes? So, two things which I thought and I invited Abhijna for. One is to make phonics fun, make it enjoyable, right? Like we did. Get the little wonder of sounds, get them to understand that, there are sounds all around you, there are sounds that are there in words, and then grow different skills like this little one. So, Abhijna, thank you for being with us. And now I'm going to take everybody into the world of phonics. Thank you. Thank you for coming to the Square Panda show. We are honored to have this little artist with us. So, she's Abhijna Belur and her mom is Smita Belur. So they are like performers on stage and I thought we can get her onto our stage today. So thank you so much. Thank you, little one. Uh, the wonder of the Square Panda platform, the weeks has been this wonder to be able to pick up, to be able to bring communities together, to be able to do and share without, you know, too much of a inhibition. And I think that's the whole message that we wanted to project when we started this entire journey. That don't have inhibitions. If something is good, come out there and share it because that is the magic of getting things going, right? So building our little community, building our little happiness with each other, we'll go forward. So, today I just my earphone. So today there was the reason I chose this topic is when we started initially, our first topic was uh, listening skills. Imagine we had chosen this somewhere around in May, and then you had the NEP and you had the literacy. So with the ever increasing emphasis on education, emphasizing that early years is so important, the literacy is for more and more children is so important. So the adults also have to be prepared for it. You won't have children literacy going to children if the adults don't know the process as well. So I think phonics is something that is going to help the teaching community, the parents, help the children. And I have seen, so they say there are two good predictors of a successful reader. One is the ability to recognize the letter shapes, and the second, very, very important ability is the phonemic awareness, which really is not worked on. We start off the sound symbol association and we don't do as much as readiness as is required by the children. So I thought we must talk about it. So starting with, why do we actually have to worry about this whole concept of sounds and symbols? Because the English as a language has 26 letters and they have to represent 42 to 44 sounds. Now, the 44 sounds can have one symbol or they can have more symbols. So, if there's a sound, it can have a CE, it can have a double S, it can have, so it can have an S. So unless the children are led to that, how would they be able to understand? Yes, we did learn the whole language way, but this is a very, very effective way to help children learn, become independent learners, right? Sounds and symbols are the same, right? Whether they're 42, uh, the processes to teach them could be slightly different. Uh, so that is the last focus is the same, that everybody should be able to understand the sound and symbol. Some people would do it with music and actions. Uh, some would do it with just sounds and symbol association, and and some would do it with the help of digital tools which can be maneuvered, which can record the development of the children, which can actually help them to go on certain paths. The aim is the same. So the whole concept is that we will reach the reading, we can take different paths to it, but certain basic skills are essential to any part of it. All right. So like I said, as it was customary, we started with a story, because each thing can be, you can lead the children to that whole wonder and excitement through stories, through simple activities, through the ability to listen. So that is how we have grown the whole phonic process, to take it step by step by step. So we have addressed various needs of children in different sessions. We've addressed, a whole range of needs of children. Uh, the most important one was what I started with, the ability to listen. If we can do that, um, and we can do that in so many ways. You can do that with simple songs, you can do that with musical instruments, you can do it with beats, you can do it with a clap pattern, you can do it with a snap pattern, you can do it with your clap, snap, and tap. There's so many ways to get the children to understand the auditory patterns, auditory discrimination, using something like sound boxes. Are they the same? To be using maybe, even something like a spoon and a katori, in the house, and saying that, okay, so can you play it on different bowls and see whether the sound is the same? So you can put big bowls, small bowls. You can do the jal tarang. Well, there are so many ways to, you can do rhyming words. Suppose I say cat, you say bat, I say Sonia, you say Monia. So you can do so many ways to get the children to start listening. Mindfulness to listen is a very, very important thing. I've put out a whole lot of books today, I have a visiting child at home, and I realized that the wonder of books, the wonder of reading to the child so regularly. So read to your children right from the beginning. Don't wait for them to start recognizing the letters or the sounds to start reading. And when you read, say the words in a clear way. Don't babble, don't baby talk words, and bring a lot of emphasis on your lips. So, while, like I said, there are different ways to help children, learn and read and things like that. But I would say that I use a lot of the emphasis on the lip movement. So these are special circumstances. We all know that the children are now spending more time at home, the first learning environment with their first teachers, the parents, and we all need to put together our energies to help this time at home, and when they come back, to become engaging, to be multisensory, experiential, to help parents, to help the learners. It's interesting that, uh, even this platform where we are all, where we meet every Sunday, the Square Panda has a very nice early years reading app, uh, on like Square Tales. Beautifully done, very, very simply done, and a step by step process. It takes children from one step to independent readers. Just very recently, we changed my, I think, my little profile note which said kinophonics. So earlier I used to work with just kino learn. Now it is kinesthetic movement activities and kinophonics. And I've just about released my first phonic course for the Oxford University Press in India. But as customary, we have never really discussed one process. We have just discussed a neutral process that will take children towards a pattern, because certain things have to have certain processes to it. So, just that. So, we need to nurture independent learners with activities to ensure that certain amount of encouragement happens, certain amount of difficulty is there, but there is a lot of success. I think that is one rule for reading, that allow success moments to come, allow that I know how to read this come. If that comes alive, that makes a huge, huge difference to the confidence, and more than just the confidence, the want to read. So we have our little teacher, as usual, as she pops in, as and when we need her. This has been such an interesting journey that we have created a pattern about a couple of months back, and surprisingly, these patterns have always helped us. They have just helped us so comfortably to create a little pattern. So reusing of resources, creating using the same resources in multiple ways. I think that's what I have tried to do in the last many weeks. Any of you who have been following us regularly would realize that that there are certain things I do, and I just tweak them a little, and we reuse them. I think that's one wonder we have to create, where the children can revisit things, the same things in different ways. So phonics must be, also the children have to be led to this exactly like anything else that we have been talking about. So, lots of listening, talk to them about here and now, help them to understand context, time, comprehend words, and apply them in their daily language. Why? Because if they can comprehend and they can speak a language, it is so easy that when they read a word, they'll be able to tweak it because they know the word already, right? So also with phonics, a lot of people say that you will have to mold it just a little bit according to every the way people speak the words. Now in India, what happens is our languages are usually pure languages, in the sense that if you speak a word correctly, you have a symbol to write the word. Jैसे for Hindi, they say एक विशुद्ध ध्वन्यात्मक भाषा है. It's a pure phonic language. If you speak it correctly, you can write it correctly because you have symbols for each little sound. But in English, that doesn't happen. So the preparation of it has to be much, much more. So loads of rhymes, loads of rhyming words. Alliteration is so important. If you're saying a word sound starting with bear, then Benny bear bounces. Or you can take any sound, and see that the first word. Remember, we used to say seashells, she sells seashells on the seashore, something like that. So try so or but the best one would be Betty bought some butter, but the butter was bitter. So Betty bought some better butter to make the bitter butter better. Oh, I'm saying this after many years. I hope I've got it right. So this was what? This was every first word of the had the same sound. So a lot of these very interesting things will help. Another very, very nice thing that will help you is to also put up an alphabet chart, to put up a normal A to Z chart in your homes, in your classrooms, because those are the 26 letters that are actually going to take the children forward to different combinations. So it's good in early years if they understand that this is what is going to help us, that they are upper and lowercase letters. Now, there are people who ask us, and there are big discussions on should you teach uppercase or lowercase. Well, both have the same names and both have the same sounds. We can't say only lowercase. That's what I say, because initially the child actually sees the uppercase on packets, on billboards, on even the titles of books. So why only the small case? Why not teach them both? 13 letter shape have the same letter shapes, right? and only 13 more have to be learned. Now imagine in a room where I'm sitting or in a home, the child would be learning at least 5 to 600 words, maybe if not more. Now, if the child can learn to associate so many words with so many things, what is the harm in these 13 letter shapes? No harm, no? So you must allow the child to go from the known to the unknown. This is one way to do it. There are many other ways to do it. There are certain people who will do phonics with letter groups. They'll take sound groups and they will start with that. But even if you do it with very early years, you put up a pattern and a poster, and you tell them that these are the letters of the alphabet, and they help us. You can combine them to make many many sounds. You find them in words, so you can actually introduce children to and make simple letter books. It's so nice to use. I remember we did one flip over calendar, where we said that take old calendars, tabletop calendars, and choose a sound of for the day. So and for that, do the letter of the day, do the pictures of the day. The next thing can have the story of that day and the rhyme of that day, and imagine the kind of language that the child will grow. So, for the very tiny children, we can actually start with all of this. Just the wonder of wanting to know more about, the sounds and symbols. So, I would suggest that a lot, that start with the wonder, start with, just letting them chatter, letting them talk, letting them just understand that this is language. Let them listen to sounds and words. Like, for example, I want a child to do some activity and I don't want to really say this is phonics. So I'll say, I'm going to say the sound. Listen very carefully. So, can you, so maybe slowly the child will start saying jump. Can you, so simple decodable words which can be done can actually be done on the fingers, and slowly the child will say that, oh, they're breaking it up into words. So the segmenting will happen so easily. The when you hear the sounds, they learn how to blend it. You can slowly start saying the words and they learn how to segment it. So these are basic skills which you can do just in passing, and then gradually you can take them to the processes. I think that works wonders for children. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to divide whatever little time we have, maybe the next 20-25 minutes, into three parts. We've already done one part as to why phonics and how comfortably it can take children into reading, right? The next part that I'm going to take is that uh, the readiness required. And readiness is something which we've been discussing, talking for the last many sessions. So we talked about emotional development, we talked about social development, we talked about language, we talked about reading readiness, we talked about the activities for reading readiness. Yes, so those are the prerequisites for phonics as well. Phonemic awareness, which is like the most important thing. A series of activities which will lead the child to formal phonic program. They say that if the child, not that the child who just does sound symbols will not learn phonics, but a child with a readiness automatically has a foundation, isn't it? So this foundation is what we have to create. And at this time when the children are at home with you, it's a very apt time. It's that part of the year where a lot of work has already gone into the children, and they have grown up. In 6-7 months there's a big difference. So please use these little activities at home to help the children become comfortable with the foundations, and then teach them the sound symbols. I think it works really nicely. When you're doing tricky words, just remember that there are some sight words which can be broken up and decoded and are decodable. The others are not. So those are to be done on a separate time. Don't mix them up when you're doing the phonic sounds and symbols or the readiness. So keep it a little, like in little slots, and it will really help the children. And then the next part is the what are the tools can you use in the around you? What is it that you can use to just start this entire process in your own homes for now? And gradually, of course, when the schools open, and I'm sure I've been watching a few online classes, so I do see the teachers doing amazing work. It's really nice. So suppose we did the animal sounds, we did the rhymes. So let's start in a systematic process of taking you to to understanding that these are the things. Many of the things that I'm going to mention to you will be a very very quick recap of what we have done in the last many weeks and months. So first, to understand that what are the, like I said, the readiness. So first, let's go to the readiness. Simple activities for visual discrimination: color sorting, shape sorting, object sorting, color matching, color grids, sorting same and different pictures. You can just cut out things, even advertisements from the newspaper. There are certain repeated advertisements that come every single day. Just cut them out and let the children match it. Cut them up into four parts, into three parts, and tell the children to build the parts. So, visually helping the children to remember. Pick up loads of pairs of things from the house, a needle and a thread, a spoon and a fork, a cup and a saucer, socks and shoe. In school, these things are actually quite difficult to find. But at home, these pairs can be found so easily, right? So tell them to match them, tell them to remember them, and then, like for example, if you're laying the table, give them spoons to lay out and say, get the odd one out. Gift wrapping paper, cut up gift wrapping paper and say, match the same pattern. So these are little things, and then gradually go to words. Go to words which you can write on cards for the older children, even children who are 7 and 8 years old. Get them to match words which are the same. Put a pattern of same words and tell them, can you point out the different one? So use a lot of loose, maneuverable material. That is one of the most important things for resource creation, whether at home or in school. Have things you can put on sticks, have things you can maneuver, change, mix, match. It's a big help for visual discrimination. Very, very important. Then the visual memory. Visual memory is a very, very exciting process. It's such fun. You can take your children out for walks. You can just take them to the balcony. You can take them to the window. You can take them for a drive, and you can actually talk about things that you've seen. You can talk about things that you see in a particular sequence, because this kind of sequencing and patterning is very, very important for reading later, right? So you can actually do that. You can take them for a memory walk. You can have them to look at patterns and repeat them. Again, use a lot of loose material. Like for example, I have even these little puppets. I have pencil, eraser, sharpener, sketch pens, crayons. Just arrange patterns and tell them, copy the pattern. What will it take? Nothing. So you will have 12 crayons, you have pencils, you have sketch pens, you have erasers, you have sharpeners. Even this much can help you to create some 20 patterns, right? So it could be sharpener, eraser, or it could be sharpener, eraser, pencil, crayon. Make it complex. For that is the whole wonder of learning, which is going to include all kinds of children. Rather than changing the activities, it's so much nicer if you make the activity level a little more difficult or a little more easier. So I think these patterns are so important to follow, right? So our chai cannot, our program cannot be completed without my cup of tea. No, that's very important. So one sip is very, very important. Another thing that is really nice to do is to work with shapes. Just take normal card sheets, old card sheets, cut out shapes, do lots of works with it. Tell them to fit in shapes, tell them to make resources. You create patterns. Also, don't tell children, kuch khel lo. Go play something. Give them a process. Tell them what to do a little bit. Especially with these kind of things, you have to create some sort of patterns for them. It's also very nice to do a silence game even at home. So actually telling children, let's all go quiet. have a little musical instrument in the house, have a little bell. It could be a normal, bell in the house. Pick one up. It could be a tambourine. It could be a dholak. It could be any little instrument. Just say that the minute I'm going to play this, we all have to be quiet. While digitally there is so much of resource available for children, it's also very, very nice for them to work with hands-on resources. It's a very nice activity. Use a lot of instruments in the house, like for example, the whistle, the drum, the tambourine, pouring of the water, crushing of a paper, tearing of a paper. There are like so many sounds which can be done. The cooker, the chopping of vegetables, the clap, the snap, the sniff, the cough. Oh, there's so many sounds. So introduce them to all that. All this is your preparation. Your children are becoming mindful of sounds. And lovely, huh? I was just making a list of the sounds that you can do with, so you can do activities like clap, gurgle, all right, giggle, okay, then tap, snap, stamp, cough, sneeze. Oh my God, you can make pairs and you can say, okay, I'm going to do a sound and you have to do the same. So yeah, it just works beautifully. Animal cards. And then, what is going to be really happy is chalte chalte, do some rhyming words. I'm going to drink water from a glass, and the child says, oh, I am in class. Oh, in Hindi, it's called chan. In Hindi or in local folk dialect, it's called, so people speak like that. And it's such an interesting way to be. So in your daily conversation, say that I'm going for maybe um, think of a few really interesting sentences that you can speak with the children, and wait for the way they'll respond. Initially they'll think on what to say, and then gradually you should see the speed with which they answer back, in the sense of answer back with the rhyming word. It's amazing. So start doing that. So like, I'm going to the bedroom, or the child can say, oh, I'm not coming soon. Small things like that. So just try doing a lot of patterns, training the ear with saying that, can you this, can you app. So the child starts doing that. It's very, very important to do that. All right. So loads, and most important is to get the children to move, maneuver hands, left to right, up to down, let them place things. The older children, get them to do more complex movements, get them to do different shapes, a lot of coloring, a lot of drawing. You all must be wondering why all this for phonics, but this is the readiness that we are talking about today, because phonics has those 44 sounds, it has 44 symbols. But the readiness is what is so important, so important. You must put up, like I said, a poster. You must have, like I said, I have these simple upper and lowercase cards which you can just make at home. You can print them out from, thing. You can do a clothes clip line. You can just put a little clothes line outside and say, I'm going to say the sounds, can you please clip the same letters, so the children can place the letters in a particular order of sound. These are things which you can do at home so easily. You can take glasses, maybe I don't really recommend reusable paper glasses, because there's so much of wastage. But if you're using your normal glasses or normal containers, you can actually make containers for each sound, and tell the children that, okay, so the minute, and you can just use simple ice cream sticks, and write those letters on it, and tell them that you can put this in this one. As I say, just play these little games with children, tell them to arrange them in order. It works out so beautifully. Another beautiful activity is twister on the floor. Oh, it's such fun. Just do little circles with letters, on the floor, and with chalk, and then tell them that as I say the sound, your hands have to go there. So if you do the b or the k, d, eh, the child has to twist all around and put the hand, one hand, second hand, then move the foot, the second foot. Or the twister is a simple floor game. So I think a lot of activities like this can be such fun. You can do these little board games. You can just create a whole pattern of sounds and symbols and put it there. Just the readiness for it, and I think that is what makes children. Another thing very nice to do, like for example, is to hear, like for the phonemic is the phonemic isolation. This is also something which is interesting. For example, they should be able to recognize the first, middle, and the last sounds, starting with the three simple CVC words. So they should be able to isolate it. They should be able to replace it. So suppose it's a sat, and you give them a the child should be able to make it a mat. You can, and these activities can be just done. So suppose I say that, okay, uh, substitution. So I'm going to say act, take away the and put there. What is it going to become? Act. What will the word be? Mat. Okay, now pick up the away and put p there. So what are you going to say first? P, act, pat. Fun activities. Right now we are not doing any, step by step phonics. We are just doing loads of activities so that when we actually start the sound symbol association, the child is familiar with different processes that have given them the foundation. Doing the syllable claps. So suppose I want to do apple. So apple, just simple syllable. So normally when you do phonemic awareness, phonemic readiness, it is all done verbally, oral language. And then you take the children to the sounds and the symbols, and that's how gradually the children start understanding it better. It's not that if you don't straight away start with the sounds and symbols, the children will not be able to do it. They will be able to do it. But if readiness is there, I think it works so much better. There's a very interesting activity that says that how do you assess after you do it, because these are not activities which you are doing with pen and paper. These are not activities which have got any, worksheet records. It's all oral, auditory manipulation, listening, understanding. So how are you going to understand that, um, you know, how do we observe that they're ready or not? So, small activities like giving them rhyming pictures and asking them to rhyme, giving them rhyming words, asking them if they can rhyme it back, giving them auditory tasks, taking the odd one out. The oral blending. Suppose I am giving them three sounds, the child should be able to say the words. Oral segmenting. I tell the child the word, the child should be able to segment it on fingers. Phonemic manipulation, replacing the sound. So I can start with just replacing the first sound. I can start with replacing the middle sound only or the last sound only. And as children grow, I can actually manipulate different sounds in the same activity. Right? For little children, I would do just one at a time. That today we will only change the first sounds, or we will only change the middle sound, or only change the last sound. So these are little activities that will help you to observe how the child has responded to these readiness activities. So when we are talking about phonics today, we are not even yet starting with the formal processes. We are just talking a lot about the readiness. Also, I wanted to end the year to make a beginning for the next year on understanding that literacy is going to take a lot of kinds of things to make the children read and write and spell with ease. It's not going to be like you just open the books and teach them the letters, teach them the sounds, teach them the rules, and the children will be able to become, literate. For that, the children need a preparation, they need a range of activities. And that's what we would need to start building on. This time at home, this time that we have with children is time which is just can be done. You can use it so well. And I'm seeing the way the teachers are explaining things. There's sometimes I'm actually meeting children. I'm seeing the way the classes are being conducted. So it is one of the best time for the teachers to actually make the parents aware of the sounds, how, and the activities. So first, please, every day, every month, give them a small list of activities to do, which would talk about all this, the topics I talked about, the visual discrimination, visual memory, auditory discrimination, auditory memory, the skills, the phonemic awareness activities, whole series of that, and then introduce them to the sounds and symbols. So we could do perhaps 4 symbols a week, or we could do 2 symbols a week, which the children are ready to. After they are introduced to a group of symbols, introduce how to do words, how to do oral segmenting, how to do blending, how to do oral segmenting with print, how to do it with how to do blending with print. So a whole range of activities. And so what letters do you see in the beginning of the word? You know, is so important. What do you say, what do you hear at the end of the word? What do you hear in the middle of the word? Things like this are very, very important. A lot of flashcard activities. If you can give the children loads of flashcards to manipulate, to work, I think that's another very, very important tool to have for children. Now, just to, like we said, readiness we've done. Now, the three most important, elements of a phonic lesson. Like if you're doing phonics, what are the three very, very important parts to it? Also, the language, the language that you use. What is a phoneme? It is the smallest unit of sound. What is the grapheme? It is the representation of the sound. What is auditory discrimination? What is, that is why I'm using these words again and again, so that the parent and the teacher is very, very ready for it. And what is phonemic awareness? It is a preparation for phonics and must be taught before teaching phonics, leading the children to formal phonics. All right. So, what is it? Phonetics is the scientific study of speech and sounds. Phonics is the association between the spoken sounds and symbols for each sound. So sound to print, it's just so much for us as adults to understand and learn, to make it that simple for the children. Because if we don't do it well, if we don't understand it, we are not going to make it very simple for children. So as adults, I think we need to practice, we need to do a lot of our the sound symbol associations. We need to get all our activities in place, so when we are introducing, much before we are taking the children down that journey. Now there are three very, very important parts of phonics as it becomes formal. Readiness is there first and foremost. Readiness. Once the readiness is there, the decoding, the blending or synthesizing, which is a skill for reading. All right. So blending without print. So what the child, the parent does, the adult does is says k, act, and the child blends and says the sound. Then you do blending with print, where you actually place cards or you put up big words and the child goes from left to right. That is where the motor skills of left to right are coming in use. So left to right, blend and read. So I can say act. So also there are two different ways to do phonics. One is to do the rhyme and onset, but I prefer that each do synthetic phonics, where each sound is taken into account. Both are correct methods, but this makes it much more clearer to the child as the child grows and comes up, reaches more complex words. I think that's a very, very important part of it. What all does it require? It requires the ability to listen to sounds. This is what we've been talking about since so long. And it requires the skills to move from left to right. It requires the ability to associate sounds with symbols. And then comes the encoding or the segmenting, the technical skill for spelling. What the child does, you say the word, and the child will break it up into into sound. So suppose I'm using the word, let's make it like boat. So the b, o, t. So 3 sounds, and stops at that. Then the child does not say the word boat again, because the child is segmenting. When it comes to, it's also very interesting that this activity can become such a beautiful activity for spelling as the children grow. So as many sounds, the child puts that many dashes. And on each dash, the child writes the symbol for that sound. So if the child is going to do a word like chair, ch, a, there will be only 3 dashes. But how many in the first dash you'll have ch, C and H together, A and I together, and R on the last one. So these dashes and writing of sounds and symbols makes the children so clearly aware that two letters together are making one sound. So these are little activities which you can do, get familiar with before taking the children ahead. And then, so you can do oral segmenting, you can do with print, when the child is actually listening to the sounds and getting it as close to real speech. So one is without print, and the one is to, I can show the child the word and the child can segment it. So there are two ways to do both these activities. And the third is the handwriting, the technical skill to communicate thoughts in written language. So the child also should learn how to do the tripod grip. That is why they say initially don't start so early with the little children. It's okay. Let them use flashcards, let them maneuver flashcards, let them place flashcards, let them do a lot of finger tracing, get the tripod grip into place, and then get the children to start writing. And like we said, that, like I just told you, this is a very nice way that once you've done the sound and symbols, these little dashes are put there, and the child actually learns to write the letters. Because so each step at a time. And most important is the preparation. Because to do all this, what I've just explained to you, you can't just start off on the first day and say, okay, now we are going to do this. So without the child being prepared for it, the child will not be able to do this as well as the child can do it with preparation. So I think today my whole message was prepare, prepare, and prepare, and then take the children into the world of more fun for formal phonics. The year is coming to an end. Uh, it's been a tough year for some, in fact, for most. It's made us learn a lot. It's made us cautious. It's made us consolidate all our resources. It's made us share. It's made, people give us platforms like this where we can meet and talk and, just be together and just learn. Uh, just putting my head down and saying thank you for everybody who's been kept safe. Uh, Also, perhaps remembering, the difficult times, a lot of losses that people have seen, and just thanking God for giving us the strength to take this journey together. So I really, really hope and pray that 2021 comes with loads of happy news, good health for everybody, and just a lot of kindness and happiness for all. And wishing you all a very, very happy new year. And I'm sure the entire, this cheerful, young, beautiful team of Square Panda joins me to wish all of you a lovely, lovely year ahead. And Happy New Year. Thank you so much.
Square, square, panda.